You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Friday the 18th of July 2025 and you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. I'm really sorry, it's quite late this evening for the very simple reason that I almost forgot to do this. I've been so caught up with doing my final read-through of the second draft of Empress of the Trees that I suddenly realised, as I record this, it is 20 to 10 in the evening. You could almost say at night because it's almost dark outside. So, sorry that it's so late. I'm really enjoying going through this, I have to say. Obviously, I've read it loads of times before, but this is the first time I've read every other chapter I've read, because I was signing it off. I probably read the most was 3 or 4 chapters in one sitting, one day. And obviously, since yesterday, I've now read the first 33 chapters. I do feel it's holding together very well. I am making tiny little alterations. Like I said to you yesterday, I put in a slightly different description of Carl Tucker. That's probably the biggest edit I've made, actually. Most of it is changing the odd word, so there are scenes where an entity called Sign-Wolf, which I have discovered is pronounced... Hang on, I'll check how that's pronounced in a minute. But anyway, I'll worry about that later. Yeah, an entity called Sign-Wolf, which isn't pronounced like that, is inhabiting different people's bodies. And later on in the book, I set the precedent that once he inhabits the bodies, I use the name Sign-Wolf to refer to the creature. So when it inhabits Claire later in the book, I don't say said Claire, I say Sign-Wolf. There's a couple of occasions earlier in the book where it inhabits Mackenzie, and I've still referred to him as Mackenzie. He's not. So little things like that. Things that I've just changed for consistency. Also, weirdly, as you may or may not know if you've been listening to this, I wrote the book in 2 chunks. So the first chunk I wrote ages ago, and then I started the last bit of the book in July or August last year. And I've spelt Claire, the name of one of the characters, differently. So literally from chapter 32 onwards, Claire is spelt a different way. I mean, again, not something I'd picked up when I was reading a couple of chapters here and there, but now I'm reading the whole thing, I've spotted it, so that's been tidied up and, fixed, so that's easy. So yeah, I really think I won't finish it today. I have got less than 200 pages to do, but my plan is to finish it tomorrow. Then I am going to allow myself one attempt to format the bloody thing in a way that means I can produce copies for my beta readers using KDP. If I get irritated, if it doesn't work the first time, I'm going to admit defeat, and I'm very kindly, T.G. Campbell has offered to do it for me. She's offered to do it for me anyway, but I feel I should just try it at least once, knowing a little bit more about how the stupid formatting works. But also knowing that if it ends up too ludicrous, I can actually produce it on Lulu, and I can get things sent directly to people's homes on Lulu as well. But my hunch says KDP is the better option, certainly the cheaper option in the short term. So that's what I'll do. So yes, tomorrow I will finish it, and then I'm not going to go straight into trying to format it because I will just turn that victory into a defeat probably when I annoy myself. But yeah, really pleased with how it's going. The other thing I've noticed, so I'm just going to call up a web page, which I think is quite funny. So I had the word candidate used twice in the same sentence, and I hadn't picked up on it at earlier versions of the read-through. So all I did was I put the word candidate into thesaurus.com to get an alternative word. I found an alternative word or alternative phrase to use so that I didn't repeat candidate. But so what it does is it has the definition of candidate, and then it goes discover more, and then it has example sentences. And all it's done is it's grabbed recent uses of the word candidate from the media. But this couldn't get more political if you tried. So the first example of the word candidate says, The attention given to ICE raids, along with the empowerment bestowed upon the agency, may influence and alter the type of candidate for our next generation of agents. That's the sample sentence, right? The second sample sentence it gives me was, she was reinstated in the nick of time to stand as a Labour candidate in last year's general election. So that's clearly a reference to Diane Abbott and has been pulled yesterday or today, but certainly very, very recently. And then the third one says, Kennedy told the reporter for New York Magazine as recently as June 2023 that there are much better candidates than HIV for what causes AIDS. Those are the three example sentences that thesaurus.com has given me after the antonyms and synonyms for the word candidate. I mean, you literally couldn't get more political than that. I do find that quite funny. Never mind. So, my plans for the weekend. Monday, I'm going to Sherwood Forest going with T.G. Campbell to try and get a photograph for the cover of the printed version of Empress of the Trees that I intend to send to my beta readers. And then hopefully that's it. It'll be done. I'll be able to just send it off and start getting some feedback, which is quite bloody terrifying, frankly. The other advantage of KDP, of course, is that I can send it to people in other countries and have it produced in other countries and sent to them locally. Anyway, see, I've kept it to 6 minutes again, just about. That's me, done for the day. Thank you for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Sorry it's so late. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.